Previously on Libel the Bible.
Rusty tries to calmly urge the audience to leave feedback.
Scott declares war on Cock Punch.
We learn the origin story of the Bible's first superhero.
He's a cross between Yosemite Sam, the rootin'est, tootin'est shoot-em-upper, and the Tasmanian Devil.
Basically, he destroys just about everything in his path.
Like tearing apart a fucking lion.
And a town of 300.
I wonder what he'll destroy next.
I guess we'll find out today on episode Giggity 69.
Nice. What did you say, Scott? You're not worried about anything.
I'm not worried about that in particular.
That in particular. And by that, Scott means the Bible. Hey, everybody, I'm Rusty.
You son of a bitch. And I'm Scott.
And this is Libel the Bible.
Libel the Bible. What episode are we doing tonight, Russ?
Tonight? Yeah. Is it a special number, Scott?
I don't know.
I think it's 69. Yeah, so we're doing episode 69. So as you can imagine, like the childish jokes are running wild. Yeah.
I wish we had done it on, we're in April and we could have done it on 4/20, but we missed that date. So
yeah, not by a lot.
Well, not by a lot. But we can't claim this is, we could say this is 4/20. Nobody's going to know.
So you know what's stupid? There's a movie theater in my neighborhood. It's like, it used to be an independent movie theater, but then they realized like they want to start making money. So now they're showing like real movies. But on 4/19, they were playing Reefer Madness. And it's like, why wouldn't you play that on 4/20, like Reefer Madness? Yeah, like they missed it by one day.
Did they at least play it on 4/20 as well?
No, just 4/19. They played Reefer Madness.
Maybe they get so high they just don't know what they're doing. I don't know.
They forgot.
Speaking of movies, did you ever see The Big Lebowski?
Yes. Amy is a huge fan of The Big Lebowski.
I wish I had known that.
We discussed this, I think. We talked about this. Yeah, it's like one of those movies where you have to be into the characters.
All right,
and like lines. You're not necessarily following the plot because the plot's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. So, buddy of mine is a huge fan. Like, goes to like Big Lebowski conventions or whatnot. I don't know how big these things are. I'm sure they're not Star Trek level, but so when I told him that I saw the movie, and I was
Shots fired.
I was like, He was like, what? He was like, yo, man, one day we got to go see it. I was like, go see it, huh? So after like a week after he said that, they re-released into the theaters last week for its 30th anniversary or something. So I let him know. So I took a ride up there. And he's like, hey, we'll pop a gummy and then we'll go see it. I was like, well, I never did a gummy, but yeah, whatever. We'll see what happens. By the time I got there, he said it's too late to take a gummy. We'll just have to go in sober. So we went to go see it, re-released in the theaters. And I got to tell you, man, either I wasn't paying attention the first time because I didn't remember any of the plots. It was quite humorous. Cult following status. And then he tried to explain, listen, it came out in the 90s. He was in his early 20s, high all the time. He went to see it stoned. So it became like a cult classic for him and people like him. So the theater was pretty packed, and people were reciting some of the better lines, while it was going on. But all in all, it was pretty humorous.
So it was almost like a low-rent version of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, where people like in the audience were reenacting
You're just shouting out lines. Not really. No, there's nobody getting up and acting shit out. But it was
that's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah. All right.
That's a line from the movie that people cite often.
Oh, right. You kind of sounded like him when you said that.
Really ties the room together.
John Goodman was awesome in it.
John Goodman was, this is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass. And he's bashing that car, and that poor man runs out. He's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it was pretty funny fucking. Yeah, it was much funnier than I remember it, since I didn't really remember it at all. So I'm glad I had the experience.
So since we're on media, I've just on the last episode of season 1 of The Expanse. I watched the first 9 episodes. I'm about to watch the 10th episode, and then I'm fairly certain I'm done with the show.
You don't like it?
It's not that I don't like it. It's just that everyone said it's like this great like science fiction show, and it's fucking great, and it's fucking this, and it's fucking that. And like it was built up so much, and it's like what it is it's a high budget sci-fi show. You could tell they put a lot of like effort into the production value. that's written not so it's got a decent storyline because it's based on books. So you could tell, like, the stories in the books are probably way better than, like, the script is not that great. The acting is not that great. It's 10 episodes. It could have been 4 episodes. If they had made this show 4 episodes, it would have been great. It would have been a great movie. But they stretched it out much further, and so the plot was, like, thinned out tremendously.
Overall, I enjoyed it. It was one of my
people like it.
Enjoyable.
People like the Expanse.
Listen, I ain't up here saying it was the greatest. It was fucking, life-changing. No, but I enjoyed it. It was pretty good.
But, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it gets better in, like, the second season.
I don't have a memory like you do for shows, so I don't know if it got better or not. I don't know. Usually I'm captured by a show, and then it usually goes downhill from there, so I can't tell you if it got better or not. So, but I liked it. Overall, I have a fond remembrance of it.
All right.
But I had no memory of The Big Lebowski, and that was pretty good, too.
Yeah, the Lebowski was good.
Oh,
you know who did that. That's the Coen brothers.
Yeah, what else did they do? The name sounded familiar.
They made a lot. They made Fargo. They made Raising Arizona. They made No Country for Old Men. I mean, they made a lot of movies. Gotcha. Barton Fink. They made a lot of movies.
Nice. Good for the Coen brothers.
Yeah.
Are those the ones that became trans women?
No, those are the Wachowski brothers. They made
the
Matrix movies. Yeah. So I did want to bring this up. I had like a big rant last episode about our audience like leaving feedback, right?
Yeah.
Then yesterday at night, somebody tweeted at us. And they were like, hey, I don't know how to use like social media. Can you message us? Can you message me? And I went and I looked at the account, and it was like a brand new account following like 15 other accounts, and nobody was following them. So it was like a new account, like brand new, April 2023 joined. So
420.
I messaged them back. I was like, you wanted to reach out to us. And today they responded. Now, I'm going to read this direct message.
Can I speculate first?
Go ahead.
Did you think by seeing that they were a new account with not many followers that what they said was truthful? They aren't media savvy. There's something they're just getting into, and perhaps they only did it to communicate with us.
Do I think that was the case?
Form the account just to feedback on us, man.
Yes.
Oh wow,
that's exactly what happened.
Now I'm excited. I hope this tweet doesn't let me down, man.
Okay. So, I received this. I sent a direct message. You wanted to message us? Here's today's response. Good morning, guys. I just wanted to tell you how much I enjoy and how amazing your podcast is. I do not have a social media presence and created this account just to message you.
No way.
While I cannot offer you anything in the way of exposure, I can offer you a sincere, great job and an eventual Patreon donation. Our Facebook account is a combined family one, so my better half nixed the Facebook link.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I live in rural Oklahoma and am a blue atheist surrounded by some well-meaning, some vicious/stupid, some cruelly obtuse religious bubbas. I only started listening in February, and I'm up to episode number 34. So I would just like to say this. This person, unprompted, because they're only up to episode 34, went and started an account just to like communicate this to us. They didn't have to be berated like our longtime fucking loyal audience apparently needs to be constantly berated, because we didn't get any feedback from current listeners. Yeah. So this is like someone that's only up to episode 34 who's providing feedback unsolicited. Okay?
Yeah.
So shame on the actual audience. Okay?
Yeah.
Where this bumpkin from Oklahoma.
Oh, no, stop, man. That's what I'm already grabbing my head for, man. So they reached out at episode 34. I'm like, they have no idea how abusive you're going to get towards people from Oklahoma, how berating towards the audience you're going to get.
I mean, listen.
They're going to look back at their message and go, that did not age well. I should not have done this.
I expect an update to this in a couple of months. All right, so let me continue. This person continues.
I feel like we have to clean the room. I put the dirty socks away, mop the floors.
I only started listening in February, and I'm up to episode number 34. I love the rapport, the tangents, and the interpretation that you offer. Thank you so much. So it's great to hear because, one, we know where they're from. They're in Oklahoma. They're obviously they're surrounded by ignorance, basically.
Dude, don't be like, great, we know where they're from. That sounds stalkerish, man.
Well, it's an insight into the demographic. Okay. They're surrounded by ignorance.
Gotcha.
I'm not talking about the religious people. I'm just talking about the fact that they're in Oklahoma. They're surrounded by yee-haw! Look at my cowboy hat. Woo-hoo! Let's go shit stomping.
The opinions of Rusty do not reflect the opinions of the podcast.
We got a square dance tonight, boy. Woo! All right. This person doesn't stop.
Oh, there's more? This is rambling I can deal with.
In-depth more. All right. So, since you did not ask, how does none of your pop culture references / connections to Leviticus / Exodus involve Stargate, the movie? Oh. It is a freaking highly advanced alien who lands their pyramid-shaped ship in ancient Egypt, rules over the people as a god, kidnaps a bunch of Egyptian, flies away, and inspires the mythology. Then, Kurt Russell and U.S. military nuke the alien / god. It is so fitting. I did mention Stargate, but only in reference to having dropped a tab of acid when I went to see it. But I don't remember if we discussed it in terms of...
Was the pyramids built by the time the Bible started? Or were they built after the stories of the Old Testament?
They were built a really long time ago.
Like before before anything we've read. How come there's no mention of it?
Of the pyramids?
Like you're leaving Exodus, like instead of going, we went by the shores of some river we never heard of, like we made a left at the fucking pyramids.
Take a left at the Great Pyramid.
No, not the little one.
It continues. Some of your alien / Yahweh theories talk about how cleaning / holy rituals for the body to enter Yahweh's chambers could be disinfected / clean room, anti-room, and or forced breeding program to ensure certain genetic traits are more prevalent in the, quote, chosen people. To that point, Tay-Sachs is a degenerative neurological disease common in certain Jewish populations. It has to be inherited with a gene from both parents and is fatal to children. However, if you only inherit one Tay-Sachs mutation, you do not get the disease, but you do get some immunity to tuberculosis. Let Yahweh's plans and rules for procreation and weird purification processes commence. Think of populations Think of populations with sickle cell disease where malaria is endemic, but it grants some immunity to malaria. Populations with cystic fibrosis, Western Europeans in parentheses, who have some immunity to infectious diarrheal disease, like cholera, and also tuberculosis. TB and diarrheal disease were commonplace in ancient civilizations. I think that the ancient Greeks even described the process of TB. It is definitely a, quote, wasting or, quote, consumption type of illness. Also, gold and silver, the main components of the tabernacle, ark, temple, etc., does have some antibacterial and antifungal properties. If I was an advanced spacefaring alien with an utterly foreign biology, immune system, and evolutionary tree, stranded on a rock, and dependent on a bunch of filthy, diseased, bloodthirsty apes to get the fuck out or survive, damn right I'm culling the herd and enacting a quarantine and social control by putting metaphorical guardrails around their worst impulses. Think advanced technology being indistinguishable from magic. Thank you so much for your efforts. It is a bright spot in my day and helps me to clarify the what and why of my non-belief, and you just make me laugh. And then it ends with a quote from a book called Turtles All the Way Down.
I have that book.
Do you?
I do. I haven't read it yet. It's on my next to read list.
So that guy John Green who wrote that book, I've never read any of his novels. They're like young adult novels.
Yeah, it's a young person's novel.
But I have used his videos. He has a set of videos called Crash Course. And when I was teaching in the classroom, I used like a lot of the American history Crash Course videos. They're actually really interesting. They're like 10-minute animated like synopses of like critical periods in American history.
Gotcha. So what's the quote? Hey, wait, is it going to give away the book? Because I'm going to read it soon.
No.
Okay.
The quote is from a character called Sturgill Simpson. Every time I take a look inside that old and fabled book, I'm blinded and reminded of the pain caused by some old man in the sky.
Nice.
So that was a message from one of our listeners. They just started in February. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Welcome to the Libelites. Like we were supposed to come up with a name for our crew. Yeah,
I thought we'd settled on fucking humps. Wasn't fucking humps?
No, you said that a lot last week. But
I did.
Yeah. So, well, I'm glad we have somebody, and I hope we don't in 30 episodes they're not really really disappointed with your behavior. But I do want to point out, like the 7th on the list of what if God was. Was the creepy androgynous Stargate kid, Ra. In episode 19, we did mention.
No, we've definitely talked about like Stargate. We've definitely like broken down the genetic.
And anyone who has watched Stargate would have to believe it's so much more believable than what this book is depicting.
Yes.
I like that whole idea. You had mentioned genetic manipulation quite a bit, certain traits and everything. But isn't it interesting that you could get a disease that could be deadly, but it makes you immune to tuberculosis? Tuberculosis was probably a disease that Yahweh couldn't deal with. He had to eradicate that. So he starts fucking around with alien biologies, and mistakes were made. Now you got sickle cell, but you ain't going to get malaria, which will kill Yahweh. So that's very interesting theories, man. All right, let's get him on the show, man.
Because I feel like is malaria and tuberculosis, those are like airborne, right?
I think malaria, no. I think malaria has to be like from
from drinking
mosquitoes,
it,
I think.
In drinking water.
I think mosquitoes spread it, so it must be some sort of blood contact.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that. You know, we've said several times, do not come here for medical advice,
or really much of any advice.
Yeah. All right. So Russ, you want to just stop the episode now? I mean, I don't think we're getting higher than this. I think that was a nice boost shot in the arm, and I think we shouldn't waste it and like get depressed by reading the Bible.
Well, here's the thing, Scott. We have a lot of pressure on us now because this person obviously relies on us to make it through the week without having to put like a fucking gun in their mouth and blowing their brains out, having to live in Oklahoma.
Where there's easy access to guns.
Very easy access.
Yeah.
And who knows how much Bud Light has been consumed at this point.
Not much in the last couple of weeks, though. Come on. All right. Oh, I feel good about this now. Now I feel like I want to give the audience what they want.
A good show.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't know what?
I don't know how I still...
Can't you just take a little good and run with it?
No, listen, I brought it up and I expressed my gratitude to this person. But again, this person did this unsolicited, this really nice gesture. They reached out. You know, they didn't have to be yelled at.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder, where's the rest of the audience?
You remind me of like a character in a show that like makes a rash decision because like the telegram didn't come through or the letter got lost in the mail.
Or like I overheard a conversation in another room and now I think my roommates are like all having sex.
You think they're smoking the carton of cigarettes, but they're just really giving it to their uncle for his birthday?
Yeah. I mean, listen. Yeah. So, I don't know.
All right. Well, I'm going to drink to that. We're going to get right back to the show. But before we do, we'd like to invite you to come visit our Patreon.
Each week, we discuss a new topic at the intersection of society and religion.
We explore the encroachment of religion onto secular institutions, such as schools, workplaces, and government.
In addition, we'll investigate whether religion practices what it preaches.
So, after this episode, head on over to patreon.com/libeltobible and join in the conversation.
And now, back to the show.
So we are back in Stiff Neck Studio B for the first time in months.
Very nice. Scott did a very good job of decorating the walls.
We'll have to put pictures of that because that's up for opinions. Not that anybody would give an opinion, but So, yeah, the sound dampening stuff on the walls is just random stuff I had laying around my house. So in several places I've lived over the years. But
Yeah, you might hear a little bit of like an echoey thing, but whatever.
Maybe not. It gives us some bass, right? It's a little bass in our voice.
You don't want to hear echo, join our Patreon, and, we'll move into a studio.
Yeah. I want to move into the Bible, man.
We're at Libel the Bible. I'm sorry, no, we're not. We're at patreon.com/Libel the Bible.
You know what? I want to get into the Bible, but I want to point something out.
Go ahead.
Do you realize I'm sitting on a chair for the first time? Remember I was sitting on a stool that the wheel fell off? Okay. And then I was sitting on a milk crate.
While we're in the studio, you mean? You're sitting on a chair for the
yeah.
first time. Okay.
So this is the first time I'm sitting on a chair.
I didn't notice because I don't notice you. I don't care.
That's fine. So I'm going to point out.
Is it fine?
I'm going to point out. No, it's not, man. But it's not something we need to discuss on the air, man.
Okay.
You're gonna say enough bad things, and people are going to form their own opinions without me having to jump on top of you.
Go ahead.
Man.
You're right. I'm sorry.
So I went to throw the garbage out last week or the week before.
At 8 p.m.?
It was right before that got enacted. So I see this like office chair. Me and my neighbor, we put our garbage pails right in the same spot, right? So I see there's a chair there, and I see my neighbor. I was like, yo, what's up with that chair? He goes, the wheels don't move no more. The chair's garbage. I was like, so I'm going to take it. So I took a chair out of the fucking garbage. Just like this TV came out of the garbage, this chair came out of the garbage. And sure enough, the 5 wheels didn't roll. They roll now. It's because I broke the wheels apart to see what the hell they wouldn't roll. Yo, man, it was hair. In all 5 wheels, 20 years of hair caught up in the axle.
Yeah.
So I pulled some strange person's hair.
Maybe it's like
out
cat
of this
hair.
chair
Does
for
this
2 hours.
person have
No, this
cats?
was human hair. This was human hair, man. It was long human hair. I know what his family looks like. I know whose hair it is.
So what? I mean,
right? It was so bad. I should have taken a picture. By the time I got all the hair out of it, my floor looked like in a barber shop. All the hair that's around the barber shop floor. They look like that.
You ever pull hair out of like your asshole and you're like, how the fuck did this get here? Like long strands of hair? You've never had that?
Yeah, but I knew where it came from.
Yeah, like either your partner's, not you certainly, because
you've never seen how flexible
you're
I am.
bald.
Oh, that too. So my point being, I'm sitting on a chair that came out of the garbage that had 20 years of someone else's hair on it that I had to clean up. So I don't appeal to the lack of patronage often, but that's what I'm sitting on right now.
Right.
This is the point I'm trying to make.
Okay, thank you. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
And it's creaky. It's really creaky. You hear this thing?
Yes.
But
this is the kind of equipment that we're forced to use to produce this quality content.
And the last thing I sat on was a stool I took that was being thrown away, and the wheel fell off. Just saying.
I got to tell you, man, I see these celebrities. Everyone starts their own podcast, and they don't do 2/3 of the quality content that we do. But they're like set up in beautiful studios with like all great equipment.
Amazing.
And they're fucking dullards.
Yeah.
Dullards.
Yeah. But they have 14 million followers.
Yeah, because they're famous.
Yeah.
And
for
people... What?
What are they famous for half the time?
For being famous half the time.
What about this guy Samson? Is he going to be famous?
Samson's already famous.
So.
Except to you.
Jesus beta version or superhero or
Alpha?
demigod
Alpha,
or
beta.
something? I don't know, man.
He's filled with the spirit of Yahweh.
Yeah, so
Yahweh's like basically pumped them with like performance enhancers, I think. Like space extraterrestrial PEDs, XOPED.
All right, so there's no reason to think he's anything but human, but maybe like this what are we going to call this person? This person who responded to us? Maybe this is some of God's genetic experimentations.
Right.
Maybe he's not a god. Maybe he is just crazy experimented on.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
So this is like, you're right.
He'd be at home in a Stargate
Could be right, Scott. Could be right. So that gets us to Judges 16, Samson and Delilah.
I like that name, Delilah.
Delilah.
Yeah.
It's lyrical.
I don't like Samson.
You don't like Samson
Unless
the name
one of our listeners,
or what he's done?
No, well, definitely not what he's done. If any of our listeners are named Samson, I'll rethink it. But right now, I'm not feeling Samson. But Delilah, I like.
All right. You want me to begin?
Why don't you begin, man?
All right.
You haven't heard yourself talk in a few minutes.
Once,
the creaky chair.
Once Samson went to Gaza, where he saw a prostitute and went into her. Oh, nice. All right.
He's just living large, right?
Yeah, listen. After killing 300 people in this town and, like, abandoning your wife and, you got to unwind.
Yeah.
The Gazites were told, Samson has come here. Now, Is that literal? Or like, do they mean like, is that like, in the prostitute's like boudoir, they wrote Samson has come here?
Right. Why would you follow that line about the prostitute coming into it and then say he came here?
Yep.
It's like George Washington visited this spot in 17 whatever.
Yeah, George Washington slept here.
Yeah.
The Gazites were told, Samson has come here. So they circled around and lay in wait for him all night at the city gate. But he was laying pipe all night long. Yeah. They kept quiet all night, thinking, let us wait until the light of the morning, then we will kill him. But Samson lay only until midnight. Then at midnight he rose up, took hold of the doors of the city gate and the 2 posts, pulled them up, bar and all, put them on his shoulders, and carried them to the top of the hill that is in front of Hebron.
Is he a fee-fi-fo-fum?
He's a force of nature, man. Yeah. He's a human tank.
And he does shit for no reason. He's an unpredictable
Like, did he suspect
human
that people are lying in wait? What is going on?
What I don't understand is, let's lie in wait all night, and when the sun rises, we'll kill him.
Right.
Why don't you sleep comfortably in your own bed, get some good rest, if that's the plan? Why are we gathered so early? You got to get a wristband? Yeah. And so now he pulled the gate and the posts. So they couldn't even fucking replace the gate. The posts that held the gate, he took those too.
Yeah.
Like the hinges, everything.
Yeah. He's not fucking around.
He was walking out. He's like, yo, I need these. All right. After this, he fell in love with a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. The lords of the Philistines came to her and said to her, coax him and find out what makes his strength so great and how we may overpower him so that we may bind him in order to subdue him. And we will each give you 1,100 pieces of silver. So Delilah said to Samson, please tell me what makes your strength so great and how you could be bound so that one could subdue you. I'm going to finish out the paragraph. We'll come back to this.
She's subtle.
Yeah. Samson said to her, if they bind me with 7 fresh bowstrings that are not dried out, then I shall become weak and be like anyone else. Then the lords of the Philistines brought her 7 fresh bowstrings that had not dried out, and she bound him with them. While men were lying in wait in the inner chamber, she said to him, the Philistines are upon you, Samson. But he snapped the bowstrings as a strand of fiber snaps when it touches the fire. So the secret of his strength was not known. Okay.
How did he figure out that she was like, I don't
know,
plotting against him?
Maybe because she said, how do we kill you?
She's like, look, I need to ask you something, but don't worry. I'm only asking because my people want to bind you and kill you. So, what would be the easiest way to bind you and kill you?
And I'll tell them everything but that.
Yeah.
Like if you could trust a woman.
I mean, that was pretty ridiculous.
I thought, in honor of our 69th episode, maybe they wanted to role play. They wanted to get their kink on. Like, I'll tie you up. You'll be weak and helpless for the first time in your life, and I'll run the show here. Mm-hmm. And but yeah, he saw right through this bullshit.
Like, step up with some S&M stuff.
So now I got to assume this relationship's over, right? It just got started and it's over.
I feel like you can't trust her.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I couldn't. Yeah. You're right.
Then Delilah said to Samson, you have mocked me and told me lies. Please tell me how you could be bound. She's an idiot. Yeah. I mean, this woman sounds like a complete idiot.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be called a misogynist.
I don't think
the way people are called misogynists when they dare ask an 88-year-old, like, dementia-riddled politician who can barely show up to work, when they call on her to please step aside to retire, they're called, like, misogynists. I don't want to be called a misogynist, but all evidence leads to her being dumb.
Yes.
All right. Then Delilah said to Samson, you have mocked me and told me lies. Please tell me how you could be bound. He said to her, if they bind me with new ropes that have not been used, then I shall become weak and be like anyone else. So Delilah took new ropes and bound him with them and said to him, the Philistines are upon you, Samson. The men lying in wait were in an inner chamber. But he snapped the ropes off his arms like a thread.
Okay. This is why she's extra dumb.
Fool me once.
Wait, well, she didn't. She didn't even fool him once.
You won't get fooled again. By the way, so I read the reason Bush fucked that up, according to him, take it for what it's worth, he was trying to, when he started saying the phrase, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Very simple phrase. And the fact that he stumbled through it, everyone uses as an example of his stupidity.
Right.
But he said he started saying the phrase, and then he realized in the middle of saying it, they were going to have him on camera saying, shame on me. And he didn't want a soundbite of him saying, shame on me.
Oh,
and
clever.
so in the middle, he tried to like figure out a way out of it. And like, that's what caused. That's what he says. I mean, it sounds plausible.
It's plausible. Listen. Do you remember when we used to look at George Bush talking and going, wow, this is going to be the dumbest president ever on TV talking?
Boy, did we not know anything.
So Samson, like, this is why she's extra dumb. Why would Samson allow her to bind him in the first place?
He's like toying with her at this point.
Yeah, like that's how dumb she is.
Yeah.
Or she's super smart. And she loves Samson and hates the Philistines, her own people. So she's like, he's ready now. He can't get you now. And they charge in, and he just whacks
she's a double
them all
agent.
out. Yeah.
All right. I like it.
I hope so.
All right. Let's see.
Then Delilah said to Samson, until now you have mocked me and told me lies. Tell me how you could be bound. He said to her, if you weave the 7 locks of my head with the web and make it tight with the pin, then I shall become weak and be like anyone else. So while he slept... Oh, now, okay, now, I wonder if she bound him while he was sleeping before, but who cares? Delilah took the 7 locks of his head and wove them into the web and made them tight with the pin. Then she said to him, the Philistines are upon you, Samson. But he awoke from his sleep and pulled away the pin, the loom, and the web. Oh. So did he slip up and actually give out his kryptonite? Like, why did he undo his hair?
Well, I know that his hair is the root of his power.
So why did he tell her that then? Because then she could have slipped him a Mickey too. And he wouldn't have been able to pull the stick out of his head.
There are certain things in the Bible that are beyond my understanding.
All right.
You want to continue?
I will continue. Then she said to him, how can you say I love you when your heart is not with me?
Has he said I love you? Have we missed like entire chapter of like their love affair?
What happens behind closed doors? You don't hear all of it. You only hear what makes,
Okay.
Like, yeah. You have mocked me 3 times now and have not told me what makes your strength so great. Finally, after she nagged him with her words day after day and pestered him, he was tired to death. She's the first nag in recorded history.
No, actually, the woman he was supposed to marry nagged him so much he gave up the riddle, remember?
That's right.
Because he wouldn't tell his parents, he wouldn't tell her, and then the word nagged was also used. She nagged him so much he told her.
So he told her his whole secret and said to her, a razor has never come upon my head, for I have been a Nazarite to God from my mother's womb. If my head were shaved, then my strength would leave me. I would become weak and be like anyone else.
So there you go. The Nazarites, they've got some kind of like genetic thing in them that God's been like,
Okay, so I'm going to tell you this. If this is true, this is the 4th time now, right?
The 4th time what?
That he's giving up his secret.
Right. But this time she nagged him so much.
Why is she still putting up with him? I mean, why is he putting up with her at this point?
Yeah.
And why would she believe the 4th time's the charm?
You know what's interesting, Scott? You're treating this like this is really possible, and you're like trying to logically like break down,
That's
right?
What we do.
Like, and whereas I'm like, this is so fucking dumb. Like it's dumb to me. Like she just comes out and she's like, tell me how to defeat you. And he tells her it doesn't work. And then she's like, well, tell me again how to defeat you. He keeps getting attacked. I don't understand. Is this supposed to be like a real situation? Or is this like a metaphor? Like, what the fuck?
Ross, here's what I gotta tell you, man. You have the knack of when like people say ridiculous things to you, you can speak to them in a way and go, well, explain to me why that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you're good at that. So, but now you're taking this. If somebody comes at you and goes, "What about Samson and Delilah in the Bible, Rusty?" Your response is going to be, "That's just dumb." No, you have to have thought it out. Have to have reasoned responses to these people.
Okay.
You can't just be, "Oh, you're dumb." No,
so
you're
what's your
dumb.
reasonable response to this?
I don't have a reasonable response yet because we're not through it yet, man.
All right. So he tells her, "A razor has never come upon my head, for I have been a Nazarite to God. I would become weak like anyone else."
Yeah.
Okay. All right. When Delilah realized that he had told her his whole secret, she sent and called the lords of the Philistines, saying, "This time come up, for he has told his whole secret to me." Yeah, and they're like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'm sure this time." Like,
yeah, again, how dumb are the Philistines?
Yeah, it sounds like everyone's an idiot. Then the lords of the Philistines came up to her and brought the money in their hands. She let him fall asleep on her lap, and she called a man and had him shave off the 7 locks of his head. He began to weaken, and his strength left him. Then she said, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." When he awoke from his sleep, he thought, "I will go out as at other times and shake myself free." But he did not know that the Lord had left him. So the Philistines seized him and gouged out his eyes.
Damn.
They brought him down to Gaza and bound him with bronze shackles, and he ground at the mill in the prison. But the hair of his head began to grow again after it had been shaved.
Oh, shit. Okay, so again, why would the Philistines even, like, entertain this at this point? Like,
Why
I'm not
not
going
kill him?
Like, how are you the dude, if you know the story, the next one to run into the room when he wakes up? Like, I wouldn't do it. And what's this thing about the money? Then the lords of the Philistines came to her and brought the money in their hands.
She got paid for setting him up.
Oh, all right, shit. I ain't saying she a gold digger. So now we're led to believe that the hair's growing back. It's like the Hulk coming back. Like, he's blind, though, right? He's got no eyes.
We're about to see Samson Part 2, the sequel.
Yeah, and his eyes might regenerate. We don't know.
Who knows?
Right?
Who knows?
So, but the next paragraph is entitled Samson's Death. So maybe...
Spoiler alert.
Now the lords of the Philistines gathered to offer a great sacrifice to their god Dagon and to rejoice, for they said, "Our God has given Samson, our enemy, into our hand." When the people saw him, they praised their God, for they said, "Our God has given our enemy into our hand, the ravager of our country, who has killed many of us." And when their hearts were merry... Oh, man, I'm sorry. And when their hearts were merry, they said, "Call Samson and let him entertain us." Oh, now they're going to make wow, now they're going to toy with him?
Dance.
So they called Samson out of the prison, and he performed for them. They made him stand between the pillars. And Samson said to the attendant who held him by the hand, "Let me feel the pillars on which the house rests, so that I may lean against them." Now the house was full of men and women. All the lords of the Philistines were there, and on the roof there were about 3,000 men and women who looked on while Samson performed. Okay, let me get this straight. He's blind. He's obviously getting his strength back. He says, "I want to hold the pillars that are holding up the house that 3,000 of you yuckos are like sitting on top of." Again, bad idea on the Philistines' part.
Well, in fairness, maybe there's, tens of thousands of Philistines there watching, and they're the ones that are going to be entertained by him, I'm assuming, taking down these pillars and thereby killing the people in those houses. That's entertainment.
Oh, that is entertainment.
It's kind of like, what happened in the Roman Colosseum.
What happened to the Roman Colosseum?
What do you mean what happened in the Roman Colosseum? Like gladiator
Oh, I thought you
games
meant it was like
in
a
the Roman
specific
Colosseum?
incident. No, okay, that's fine.
Like they had gladiator fights and lions.
No. I thought you were talking about specific incidents.
Yes, like that time that
when Bob was there.
Right.
When Bob went there.
Dan fought Leviticus.
So, speaking of gladiators, and I never understood this, from what I understand, like people were trying to, rewrite history or clarify history, straighten it out, that gladiators didn't often get killed in the pits in front of everybody because they were really expensive. It's hard to get a good trained fighter. So there was a lot of ability to yield to your enemy and like not be killed.
Right. For the most part, probably yes. And then they had like blowouts, like they had like the Olympic games of
like the WrestleMania.
gladiatorial like events where they recreated and enacted like famous battles where people probably did get killed because they weren't gladiators fighting gladiators.
Maybe it was like an underground like fight club,
There was definitely that
like
too.
the gladiators were making side bucks by killing like.
They had vomitoriums, bro.
They had what?
Vomitoriums.
Oh, that's gross. Where
you ate so much you just like purged.
I don't think that's why you were vomiting, man. You ate so much. First of all, the food was probably crappy, and you just watched people get eviscerated. It wasn't because you was like just so stuffed. You were watching heads getting chopped off.
Gross. Then Samson called to the Lord and said, Lord God, remember me and strengthen me only this once, O God, so that with this one act of revenge I may pay back the Philistines for my 2 eyes. And Samson grasped the 2 middle pillars on which the house rested, and he leaned his weight against them, his right hand on the one and his left hand on the other. Then Samson said, Let me die with the Philistines. He strained with all his might, and the house fell on the lords and all the people who were in it. So those he killed at his death were more than those he had killed during his life. Then his kindred and all his family came down and took him and brought him up and buried him between Zorah and Eshtaol in the tomb of his father Manoah. He had judged Israel 20 years. Not for nothing, but he sounds like the craziest of the judges.
He definitely was like the most powerful.
It doesn't even sound like he had an army. It just sounds like he was a one-man wrecking crew.
Yeah. Well, it was in America, right? Their slogan was an army of one for a lot of years.
Who?
America's army. It was like an army of one.
If I play that back, is that what you think you said? Because you were like, America,
Nietzsche said bugs. I'll have you know.
Yeah.
Not that I'm intoxicated tonight yet. But this is like my 7th day.
This is my 7th day.
This is my 7th straight day drinking alcohol. I might have to dry out after this week.
I
went to a lot of parties and dinners and stuff.
Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, you had a tight recording schedule this week, huh?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
And plus the Rangers are in the playoffs now, so that's like, that's why I couldn't do certain days.
Oh, last night was a playoff game?
Yes.
I was at an event, like in a restaurant, commemorating some stuff. Like it was a organization event. I won't get into the details of it. And every time people went to take pictures with, the dignitaries and suits and everything, the Ranger game was on a big screen TV. And I had to keep screaming out, either shut the TV off or move over, because, when you take a picture, they're standing in front of like a white screen with ice, because it's ice hockey, and it fucks up all the pictures. So they'd move to the side, and somebody every once in a while would shut the TV off, and then every time I looked up, the TV was back on.
Because somebody kept turning it on.
One dude was giving a speech.
Yeah.
And the guy, like, sitting at a table at the front row, like, just literally leaned around with him and was like, yo, they're fighting. Like, there was a fight. And I'm like, all right, it's a Ranger game. I didn't realize it was a playoff game. Now I understand.
Game 2 of the first round, we're playing the Devils. It's not just a Rangers game. They're playing the New Jersey Devils.
Oh, I did see that. I thought that was kind of like an tri-city, tri-county,
Oh, my God,
tri-state
Scott.
rivalry. I didn't realize it was playoffs, though. All right. Now I know why I kept being overridden with the TV. So, Samson's dead. I'm glad he got to kill a lot of people on his way out, because it wouldn't be him without it. And I expected more of a story. Even though I didn't know Samson and Delilah was in the Bible, I figured it'd be more stories.
I mean, basically, so what's the moral of this story? The moral of the story is God wanted to fuck with the Philistines, and so he created this, like, Uberman to fucking wreck all of these Philistine-like villages for 20 years, or however long it was, 20 years.
Yeah.
And then that's it. And then God left.
And we got a name of another god, Dagon.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I guess Dagon was the Philistine god.
Nice.
And that gets us to Judges 17. Right. Micah and the Levite.
Who's this guy going to kill? Micah and the Levite.
Judge that.
There was a man in the hill country of Ephraim whose name was Micah.
It sounds like a lot of our listeners.
What?
Like people in the hill country. Like I feel like a lot of our listeners are like hill folk.
Hill folk? What are they, hobbits?
Yeah. They're like,
They're from the Shire.
Hey, honey, The new episode of Libel, the Bible's out. You want to listen to it now or later?
You better not be putting that trash on in our house. Go to your own fucking trailer if you want to watch that shit. If you're wondering why there's going to be a rating spike next week, this is what it is. He said to his mother, "The 1,100 pieces of silver that were taken from you, about which you uttered a curse, and even spoke it in my hearing, that silver is in my possession. I took it."
I'm sorry. Let's start from the beginning because I'm already confused. There was a man in the hill country of Ephraim whose name was Micah. Mm-hmm. He said to his mother, "The 1,100 pieces of silver." This is always my problem. We're introduced to these characters, and then we're thrust like right into the middle of action without context. And I'm like, what is the context for this conversation?
The 1,100 pieces of missing silver was given to Delilah to get the secret of Samson. They mentioned like giving her money.
Oh, is that what this is?
Gotta be, yeah. And I think 1,100 was mentioned.
All right, he said.
You know why I didn't understand it? Because he said 1,100 pieces of silver. He didn't say like, how many pieces of money is this? You don't remember that?
No,
it doesn't matter.
I don't remember a lot of things.
The 1,100 pieces of silver that were taken from you. Oh, taken? You didn't give it up to get Samson's secret? She's telling a story.
I don't know, Scott. I think this is your whole theory. I'm
the 1,100 pieces of silver that were taken from you, about which you uttered a curse and even spoke it in my hearing. That silver is in my possession. I took it, but now I will return it to you. And this mother said, "May my son be blessed by the Lord." Then he returned the 1,100 pieces of silver to his mother, and his mother said, "I consecrate the silver to the Lord from my hand for my son to make an idol of cast." Oh, here we go. Idol of cast metal. So when he returned the money to his mother took 200 pieces of silver and gave it to the silversmith, who made it into an idol of cast metal, and it was in the house of Micah. The man Micah had a shrine, and he made an ephod and teraphim, and installed one of his sons, who became his priest. In those days there was no king in Israel. All the people did what was right in their own eyes. Whoa.
I thought they had judges.
Well, apparently. Wait a minute.
Oh, this might be in between judges. This might be after
Samson died,
and there's no judge
People
now.
reneged on shit. Somehow he got the $1,100 back that he was supposed to give to Samson. He took that shit back after Samson died and said, "What are you going to do? Send Samson after me?" Mike is a scumbag. Right? And then they make a fucking cast iron idol. A cast silver idol. But the people did what was right in their own eyes. I think someone's going to disagree with this.
Right.
Like, what's with the idol?
Who's going to disagree? Could it be, I don't know, Yahweh?
Yahweh? Satan? Yeah.
Now, there was a young man from Nantucket
who had, he could suck it.
What was that joke? Data was started like a limerick once. There once was a, you don't know this one?
I mean, I probably do.
Right. He's like, there once was a woman from like Ennis who was shaped like a, I don't know, whatever. I don't remember. He started telling a limerick, and Picard was like, "All right, Riker."
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I saw that was really funny though? It's a supercut of Riker walking into rooms and sitting down.
Oh, over the chair. The Riker
it's
maneuver.
Like a whole. It's like a 5-minute supercut, and the best part about it is there's some scenes where he gets up and he does like the reverse. It's like a huge power move. It's great. All right.
And I'm pretty sure that was the actor's choice.
Oh, I'm sure he chose, like, he was like, Riker, what kind of a man is Riker?
Yeah.
Now, there was a young man of Bethlehem in Judah, of the clan of Judah. He was a Levite residing there. This man left the town of Bethlehem in Judah to live wherever he could find a place. A bum.
He's a fucking bum.
Yeah. This man left the town of Bethlehem in Judah to live wherever he could find a place. He came to the house of Micah in the hill country of Ephraim to carry on his work. Micah said to him, "From where do you come?" He replied, "I am a Levite of Bethlehem in Judah, and I am going to live wherever I can find a place." Then Micah said to him, "Stay with me, and be to me a father and a priest, and I will give you 10 pieces of silver a year, a set of clothes, and your living." If this isn't a gay arrangement, I don't know what is. He's like, a gray fox, Micah. He's like, why don't you stay with me and be my daddy? Yeah. You know, I'll give you
That's
like
weird.
money.
Yeah,
I'll like set you up. You know what I mean? He's like, he's a street person that he's hiring as like, you know, a living like lover bait. He's like hired, like he's taking advantage.
He's taking advantage of the fact that guy's down on his luck. Probably looks like he's going to clean up nicely. Give him a shave, a shower. Yeah.
The Levite agreed to stay with the man, and the young man became to him like one of his sons. So Micah installed the Levite. So Micah installed the Levite, and the young man became his priest and was in the house of Micah. Then Micah said, now I know that the Lord will prosper me because the Levite has become my priest. I don't know. You think that's the way it's going to go? You think the Lord's going to prosper?
Probably not, but I don't understand when Mike this guy shows up. He was living house to house. He was he was a bum, like you said.
A bum.
And he's like, "Let me come. Can I stay can I stay here to continue my work? What the fuck is your work? You're working over people? Like what are you doing? I don't know. I don't know what this work is. I don't know. I don't care. That's the end of that chapter. Things are going to go very well for Micah. Judges 18. The migration of Dan? I feel like they left us hanging on the Micah story. Is that what you have too? The migration of Dan is next for you too?
All right. So this is Judges. So what the fuck did we just read about?
I don't know.
What was the point? So a son...
Maybe it's like a B story?
A son gives his mom back money that someone took from her. She has that money turned into an idol at a silversmith in Micah's house. Is Micah a silversmith?
I didn't get that impression, no.
All right. So that was weird.
All right. So what happened was Micah was one of the Philistines that was looking to kill Samson. So he took $1,100 out of his mother's purse.
Are you theorizing? Or is this in...
I think it's a little of both, because I don't remember. I remember as little as you do from things we just read 10 minutes ago.
Go ahead.
But people promised Delilah money, and they mentioned 1,100 silver pieces. So he went into his mother's purse, stole that shit.
Okay.
Said, here, Delilah, give us the secret of Samson. Got the secret. Now that Samson was dead, he took the money back from Delilah, because he's a scumbag, and he gave it back to his mother. His mother then turned it into an idol. Mm-hmm. And then some bum showed up. It seems very unrelated. Oh, wait a minute. This guy's a Levite?
But Delilah didn't have a son. It's a son talking to a mom.
No, it's not Delilah's son. This is just somebody's son who took money out of his mother's purse to pay Delilah to get the secret of Samson.
Okay. All right.
And there's a silver cast idol in this house, and a Levite showed up. This ain't a coincidence. This Levite's about to fuck this guy up. Micah don't know what he's in for.
All right, let's go.
All right. But then it goes the migration of Dan, so I don't know if we cut away from that story. And
yeah. Oh, no, here Micah's going to come up later.
All right. In those days, there was no king in Israel, and in those days, the tribe of the Danites was seeking for itself a territory to live in. For until then, no territory among the tribes of Israel had been allotted to them.
What about Dan?
That's what I'm saying, man. Like we're well past that allotment phase, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Samson was around for 20 years, and poor Dan.
We're well past the allotment phase.
So the Danites sent 5 valiant men from the whole number of their clan, from Zorah and from Eshtaol, to spy out the land and to explore it. And they said to them, "Go explore the land." When they came to the hill country of Ephraim, to the house of Micah, they stayed there. Oh, these 5 guys. So wait, they got the Levite bum and these 5 guys now living there.
It's probably a big house. You know, he's like on a ranch.
It's Micah's flop house. While they were at Micah's house, they recognized the voice of the young Levite. So they went over and asked him, "Who brought you here?"
They recognized his voice. What? Like he's a young Bing Crosby? I don't understand.
Right? Yeah, he was like the neighboring crooner. Yeah. The neighborhood crooner. "Who brought you here? What are you doing in this place? What is your business here?" He said to them, "Micah did such and such for me."
Yada, 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 yada. Well, I showed up. He gave me a bath. Yada, yada, yada. I'm on retainer.
"Micah did such and such for me, and he hired me, and I have become his priest. Then they said to him, "Inquire of God, that we may know whether the mission we are undertaking will succeed." The priest replied, "Go in peace. The mission you are on is under the eye of the Lord." Basically, dude was like, "Yeah, you're good. Get out of here. I don't want you discovering this questionable male-male relationship we're having here." Questionable to these people in the Bible, not questionable to me, and nor questionable to you. Don't take that shit out of context, audience.
Yeah, you fucking tell them, Scott.
Yeah. No, I don't like that shit. You know how many times I see on the news my fucking words are perverted, taken out of context?
Look, when you
shame on me. That's all I hear.
When you have an audience consisting of people in Oklahoma and the Bible Belt, you gotta account for their lack of critical thinking. They're not really making a lot of decisions over the course of a day. Like, we are bombarded by constantly having to make snap decisions at any moment. Sure. They live in places with like wide open like roads and like no people. There's not a lot of thinking going on. Right. You know? Right. That's probably one of the reasons they enjoy this show. You know? You don't really have to think about too much. Just sit there and take it.
Just sit there and focus your wandering thoughts, man.
The 5 men went on, and when they came to Laish, they observed the people who were there living securely, after the manner of the Sidonians, quiet and unsuspecting, lacking nothing on earth, and possessing wealth. Furthermore, they were far from the Sidonians and had no dealings with Aram. When they came to their kinfolk at Zorah and Eshtaol, they said to them, "What do you report?" They said, "Come, let us go up against them, for we have seen the land, and it is very good. Will you do nothing? Do not be slow to go, but enter in and possess the land. When you go, you will come to an unsuspecting people. The land is broad. God has indeed given it into your hands, a place where there is no lack of anything on earth." So what you're telling me is, these people, these Danites, they're willing to fucking usurp entire land right from underneath another group of people that has established land rights.
That hasn't been mentioned ever in this book, right?
Crazy. Now, in this region of the world,
these people are Israelites, are they not? They're all in Canaan, right?
Yeah, the Danites.
So no, I mean the people that they're going to go usurp the land from.
Oh, I don't know. I've stopped following a long time ago.
They're not clear on that. So they basically say, "Oh, look at these nice Main Street. People are minding their business, pushing shopping carts, riding bikes with little ringers on it. Bing, 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 bing,
yeah, it's an idyllic community.
They're in Pleasantville, and they're like, let's go fuck them up.
Yeah, it's perfect for us. So that's what leads me to believe. I don't think they're Israelites. I think these are probably Philistines.
Oh, okay.
600 men of the Danite clan, armed with weapons of war, set out from Zorah and Eshtaol and went up and encamped at Kiriath Jearim in Judah. On this account, that place is called Mahane Dan to this day, meaning Camp of Dan. It is west of Kiriath Jearim. From there, they passed on to the hill country of Ephraim and came to the house of Micah.
Oh, let's see, Micah.
Oh, shit. Then the 5 men who had gone out to spy out the land, that is Laish, said to their comrades, "Do you know that in these buildings there are an ephod, teraphim, and an idol of cast metal? Now, therefore, consider what you will do." So they turned in that direction and came to the house of the young Levite at the home of Micah and greeted him. While the 600 men of the Danites, armed with their weapons of war, stood by the entrance of the gate. The 5 men who had gone to spy out the land proceeded to enter and take the idol of cast metal, the ephod, and the teraphim. The priest was standing by the entrance of the gate with the 600 men armed with weapons of war. When the men went into Micah's house and took the idol of cast metal, the ephod, and the teraphim, the priest said to them, "What are you doing?" They said to him, "Keep quiet. Put your hand over your mouth and come with us, and be to us a father and a priest. Is it better for you to be priest to the house of one person, or to be priest to a tribe and clan in Israel?" Then the priest accepted the offer. he took the ephod, the teraphim, and the idol, and went along with the people. So he got promoted. Listen, they presented him with an offer he couldn't refuse, basically.
Dude knocking on the door. Hey, what's going on, Micah? Oh, these 500 dudes behind me? Don't mind them. Yeah. With the battle axes and the battering rams.
Listen, all we're saying is it would be quite a shame if we leave here and something bad were to befall the house.
Yeah. But I don't understand. The guy went inside, took the ephod, the teraphim, and the cast idol, but then the guys came in and took the cast idol again. Like, it was already taken. Like, it's a little editing problem.
It's always bad editing in the Bible.
I like when he goes, keep quiet, come with us. He must have looked at the 600 guys, looked at Mike, and was like, later.
Not a hard decision to make.
Not at all.
He's also like, I like how they're like, what would you rather do? Have this cushy job just serving one person? Or work your ass off for like this entire army of people?
Russ, man, do you want a lead role in a cage or a walk-on part in the war, man?
Oh, shit. I can't even tell a cold steel rail from a fucking, snail.
The fuck is a cold steel rail anyway? Like it's a train rail?
Yeah.
All right. Do you think when the Levite guy was leaving, he's like, and by the way, Micah, your lasagna sucked.
I faked it every night.
Yeah, oh, right. Yes. So they resumed their journey. Wait. By the way, what's a teraphim?
I'm going to look it up right now. So you know what the other one is? That ephod? It's like robes, priestly robes.
Yeah, I think we covered that.
A teraphim are small images or cult objects used as domestic deities or oracles. So it's probably like a little figurine.
More fucking home goods.
Yeah, little figurines of gods.
Yeah, because it wasn't
kind of like
remember
in Gladiator? He had like those little figurines that he used to pray to. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
So they resumed their journey, putting the little ones, the livestock, and the goods in front of them. Yeah, put the kids in the front in case anything bad happens. When they were some distance from the home of Micah, the men who were in the houses near Micah's house were called out, and they overtook the Danites. Whoa. They shouted to the Danites, who turned around and said to Micah, "What is the matter that you come with such a company?" He replied, "You take my gods that I made and the priest and go away, and what have I left? How then can you ask me, what's the matter?" And the Danites said to him, "You had better not let your voice be heard among us, or else hot-tempered fellows will attack you, and you will lose your life and the lives of your household." Then the Danites went their way. When Micah saw that they were too strong for him, he turned and went back to his home. All right, a little respect to Micah. A couple of his boys came out of the house.
He had to show, he had a show. He's still a man,
still a man, exactly.
You can't fuck around with me.
Yeah.
The Danites settle in Laish. The Danites, having taken what Micah had made and the priest who belonged to him, came to Laish, to a people quiet and unsuspecting, put them to the sword, and burned down the city. There were no deliverer because it was far from Sidon, and they had no dealings with Aram. It was in the valley that belongs to Beth Rehob. They rebuilt the city and lived in it. They named the city Dan, after their ancestor Dan, who was born to Israel. But the name of the city was formerly Laish. Then the Danites set up the idol for themselves. Jonathan, son of Gershom, son of Moses, and his sons were priests to the tribe of the Danites until the time the land went into captivity. So they maintained as their own Micah's idol that he had made, as long as the house of God was at Shiloh. Why are they still fucking around with idols?
What I like about this is, after Samson died, and they said everybody was doing right in the eyes of the Lord, and then slowly we're seeing stories. We're actually getting some background. Like, this is how it happens. Like, this guy had an idol. I thought the Danites were going to fuck him up just for the idol. No, they took the idol for themselves.
Yeah.
So we're actually finally seeing what happens between judges. We see the progression of their bad behavior.
Finally, you would think this would have happened earlier on, like
instead of us just being told they're acting up. Now we actually see them acting up. Yeah.
Well, that's good. I mean,
and I like the fact that they took the city and they rebuilt it, because normally they just laid waste to cities and left them alone. Do you think they rebuilt that city on rock and roll?
I think no. I think it was built originally on rock and roll.
Oh, okay. They rebuilt it on like country music.
Yowza.
Yowzer. All right, what are we doing?
I've been drinking my whiskey in my pickup truck, and then my dog peed in it too. And then my wife showed up with her lover boy, and I kept drinking whiskey too.
You're not listening to that Libel to Bible crap, are you, in there? Don't make me throw my shoes at you.
So, I mean, I don't know, Scott. We've done about an hour of episode now, a little over an hour. I feel like it's good for today. What do you think? We've gotten through Judges 16, 17, and 18.
We did 3 tonight?
We did 3. Yeah.
And we didn't turn into the wrong driveway and got shot by some paranoid homeowner?
Not tonight.
Nice. We didn't knock on the wrong door looking for our siblings and accidentally get shot by some homeowner?
And there have been several active shooter situations.
Yeah.
So it's not just like individual shootings, you know?
Do you remember that time we accidentally got in someone else's car? Said, oh shit, we're in the wrong car. We got out of the car and we walked away, but the guy got out of the car and that wasn't enough for him and he shot us both?
Yeah. I do remember that.
Something similar to that might have happened. All right. Yeah. But yeah. All right. That's what I'm going to say about that stuff tonight.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Things don't happen like that in New York. Oh, wait, they did happen in New York.
Did they?
Yeah, that one girl that pulled into the driveway.
That was in New York?
That was like north of Albany. Because that's really not New York.
There's stuff north of Albany?
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
I thought the big wall was there.
It's funny. Like people say, I've been on vacation, you know, in another state, in another country. You meet someone and you're like, where are you from? And I'll say like New York. And then they'll say, me too. And I'm like, really, where? And they're like, you know, Syracuse. And I'm like, that shit ain't New York. It is New York. You have to specify like New York State. New York is New York.
And New York State's a big state.
New York State's very big.
Yeah. I mean, it's not Texas big, but
it's not
big.
New Mexico, right? It's not those western states. We just got tired of like making like small. We were just like, fucking give them like all this land.
And you know what? It's not big empty states though. Like we actually have,
right, you know, not empty.
Like, Texas might be big, but if you eliminate all the wasteland,
I mean, Texas is a bad example because they do have big cities. Wyoming would be a better example. Montana would be a great example.
My next vacation. What is anything to do in Wyoming? Like, what's the name? Like a quick. What's good in Wyoming?
It's Big Sky Country.
Isn't that Montana?
Oh yeah, that's Montana. Wyoming is Yellowstone.
Oh, all right. Isn't that like in 4 states though? Like you go to several states.
The largest portion is in Wyoming. All right. You can do. You know what you could do if you do that part of the country. You could do like Yellowstone. You could do. What's in Utah? Like the Salt Flats.
Oh.
You could do...
Aren't the Mormons there, though?
The Mormons are there. But the Salt Flats aren't where the Mormons are.
I would think not.
But the Salt Flats are super cool.
I don't think we own the Salt Flats anymore. I think Spain actually owns the Salt Flats.
Spain owns them?
Because in this country, we actually sell our land to foreign governments and countries. It's amazing. It's amazing what we'll sell in this country.
I mean, we bought Alaska.
That's different. No?
I don't know. Honestly, I'm struggling at this point.
Yeah, we can call it a night.
I'm struggling.
We can call it a night, man.
All right. So again, we thank the person who reached out to us on Twitter. That was really nice to hear from you. Hopefully you're still listening by the time you get to episode 69. Nice. I know you're only in the 30s now, but hopefully, you know, you'll get to this, and we thank you tremendously. And again, to everyone else, please, it would be much appreciated if you also left comments. Go check out our Patreon. Go check out our Twitter. And fuck everybody.
And I'm going to say this before you click. Just look at Rusty's change of demeanor for the most part after reading that one piece of feedback. So come on, man. Do it for me, if not for him.
They say, like, music soothes the savage beast. Well, for me, praise and gestures soothe the savage beast. Yeah. Although maybe they like it when I'm savage, and maybe that's why they're not fucking, you know, commenting. They like to see me fucking freak out.
Oh shit.
Yeah. They find it funny.
Well, no, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna thank your dad for sending that really nice message on Twitter to you.